And the Rugby World Cup, where England have named their 33-man squad this morning. Let's head live to Twickenham and speak to our reporter, Eleanor Roper. Morning, Eleanor. Who will be the disappointed men?
Yes, good morning. Welcome to Twickenham, where, as you say, Steve Borthwick has in the last few minutes named his 33-man squad to travel to France. I think the most surprising omission has to be Henry Slade, the England centre. 56 England caps, been a huge part of this England setup for some time now. He stays behind, as does Johnny May, another winger. Joe Cocker-Singer left out, as is England and Harlequins. Number 8, Alex Dombrandt. They're the sort of biggest names left behind. But let's focus on who is travelling to France, and we'll bring you some graphics now to show you that squad on your screen. 3 loose head props, 3 tight head props, and hooker has been a big area of discussion. Theo Dan, who made his England debut on Saturday in Wales, he travels to France. He joins Jack Walker and Jamie George at hooker. Now the back row again has been a huge area of debate. Ben Earl getting the opportunity, Lewis Ludlam, Jack Willis as well getting the call up. If we look at the backs now, we as expected, we'll see Steve Borthwick taking 3 scrum halves, 3 fly halves in Captain Owen Farrell, George Ford and Marcus Smith. Now, we mentioned some of the omissions in terms of that midfield, but let's look at who Steve Borthwick has opted for. Manu Tuolangi, Ollie Lawrence, Joe Marchant, Elliot Daly, Anthony Watson, Max Malins and Henry Arundell as well getting his opportunity as he is in this 33-man squad travelling to France. Now, it is worth noting that 16 of these 33 players were involved in this England squad at the last World Cup. So 4 years on, they're still here. Now, plenty to talk about, plenty to unpick with this squad. I can see pitch side here at Twickenham. We've got James Cole, alongside him is former England centre Luther Burrell. So let's head to them now and they can give us their thoughts.
Thanks, Ellie. No doubt what the headline is here. Henry Slade's omission, 56 caps, a former England vice-captain. Luther, as a former centre yourself, how surprising is it he's been left out?
Yeah, this is absolutely huge news from Steve Borthwick, not having a well-established centre in the England team in Henry Slade. He brings such a versatile, wide range of skill set. So it's a huge, huge news. I think on the balance of probability, the majority of rugby fans across the UK are putting Henry Slade in their World Cup squad. So his omission is going to be huge. You know, I hope he's got the right support around him. As a player, I've been there personally myself, I understand. But what Steve Borthwick has done, he's announced his squad early. I mean, these lads coming to Twickenham today, they've got a couple of weeks until the 9th of September, which is going to be the main point of call for these lads. They've got that monkey off their back, so to speak, and they'll be feeling a real sense of relief today.
Without Slade there, England's centres, mainly Ollie Lawrence, Manu Tuolangi and Joe Marchant. What does that tell us about how Steve Borthwick and the coach is going to look to play in France?
Yeah, well, I believe it tells us a lot. I think you look at Manu, you look at Ollie Lawrence, I think I really quite like to see that partnership. Throughout my England career, I always wanted to pair up with Manu and try and build that relationship. So I'd like to see Ollie Lawrence and Manu in that 12 and 13 position. I think bringing Joe Marchant into the team perhaps ahead of Henry Slade has given again that versatility because he's able to play on the wing, he can slot in at outside centre, and again I think it tells us initially that Borthwick's going to go with a gain line approach. Potentially what we've seen a lot over the past few months with this England structure is a kicking game, defensive structure. So look, it's very interesting, but again, a bold call by Steve Borthwick to omit Henry Slade.
Yeah, that strategy won Leicester the Premiership, we shouldn't forget, under Steve Borthwick. But in terms of Slade, how important is it how he takes this, how he deals with this in terms of his international career going forward? You said it yourself, 2015, you've been there. Yeah. It must be hard.
Yeah, well, reading the news, it's come as quite a surprise to him. I think, you know, Steve Borthwick has come out and said he's tried to keep players up to date with where they're currently at within the selection process. So, look, he's going to need his friends, his family, his teammates. Essentially, he needs to be on standby because, you know, you never know what can happen. And a player of Henry's capability, slotting back into that England system, you know, we're only an hour away. He may be in France himself. You just never know. But I don't think it's going to be the last we're going to see of Henry Slade. However, he'll be making sure he's in good spirits, keep him fit, because you never know what could happen in terms of injuries. Manu, unfortunately, has had an injury sprung in England international career. So look, if I was Henry Slade, I'd be saying, look, mate, yes, initial disappointment, but you need to keep your head straight because you never know what could happen.
Another big omission is Alex Dombrandt at 8. It means that Billy Vunipola is the only specialist 8, although there are other back rows who can cover that position. Vunipola's never been picked by Borthwick, and he's not played since April. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. Again, another bold call. I think we've got one specialist number 8. A lot of people are talking about Zach Mercer. A lot of people have been talking about Dombrandt. I think Dombrandt has had a tricky international career so far. I think Steve has probably thought, do you know what? I know Billy from Saracens. He's seen him develop as a number 8. He's a specialist number 8, and when he's fit and he's firing, he is offering an explosive base at the base of that scrum. So I can understand that logic. However, I think again it tells us the sort of game plan Steve Borthwick's looking to implement. Zach Mercer, again, a more attacking, elusive sort of back rower. Billy, he's a rock, he's solid. You know what you're going to get.
Look at the hookers. Jamie George, a lot of experience, but then beneath him, because no Luke Cowan-Dickey, how big a concern is that?
To be honest, this is probably my main concern, because the forwards are the bedrock of any game. The middle, you get the middle right, the rest of the team can flow. Your set piece, we all know how important that is to winning and having a chance at winning an international game of rugby. So look, Jamie George, he's your starting hooker, but hopefully he won't have too many injuries or worries concerning his fitness, because you look at what's coming in after him. I think 5 caps, a handful of caps between them, so they're very, very inexperienced, and it's going to be a huge job for them to actually step up on the biggest stage in international rugby. So look, again, I'm very positive, because the initial starting 15 is looking very strong, but it's then what comes after that.
Luther, thank you very much. More from Luther throughout the morning. We're going to be hearing from players and coaches here at Twickenham. Ellie.
Thank you. So interesting to hear Luther's take on this side. As we say, a mix of experience. Some of these players going into their 3rd World Cup, the likes of Owen Farrell, Dan Cole. So, you know, loads of experience in there. But as James says, we're going to be hearing from the man himself, Steve Borthwick, this morning in a press conference shortly. We can put all of these questions to him about this side, about the omissions, but also the various inclusions. We'll also be hopefully hearing from England captain Owen Farrell and some of the team who are set to travel to France. So plenty more from here at Twickenham throughout the morning.